Okay, so today, Chapter 4, Lesson 8, Dividing Fractions. If you notice, I skipped a lesson in the book. You maybe didn't notice that, but I did. I skipped a lesson, and we're going to come back and we'll do that tomorrow, okay? But I just feel like this is a better sequence, the way I'm having you do it, instead of the way the book has it, okay? So if you notice, we skipped one. That's okay. We're going to divide fractions, but first of all, let's talk about multiplying fractions, just to make sure we have this in our head a little bit, okay? So what would I do here for this one? 3.5 times 6 2/3. What was the first thing you would do, Jasmine? Sure. And what improper fractions did you get? Okay. Told you. Can you reduce here? Sure. What can I reduce? 2 and 20 goes in once, goes in 10 times. So you got 70 over 3. Then what am I going to do? Cadence, what did you do next? You divided, and what did you get? 3 1/3. Everybody agree? I think that's pretty good. Nice work. Nice work. What about this one right here? What's the first thing you would do? Negative 1/4 times 16 over 24. What are you going to do? Kaylee, what's the first thing you're going to do? Sure. We reduce by 4, I'm guessing, right? Once goes in 4 times. Jacob, what's the next thing you would do then? You would. So 1 times 4, right? 1 times 24, you get this. Is my answer going to be positive or negative? Negative, right? I have a negative and a positive. What can I do to this? Can I reduce? What can I reduce by? 4. You're right. Goes in once. Goes in 6 times. Negative 1/6. We got it? Nice work. Nice work. If you can do this, you can divide, and you'll remember a little bit once I show you. All right, so first of all, reciprocal. That's the first vocab you need to know. You're going to say, oh, yeah, I remember this. But I really think Mrs. Schneider taught you a different way, and that's fine. You do whatever way you like the best, but I think her way can be kind of confusing. So, but you know what? You stick with whatever you want. It does not matter to me. So, reciprocal is the opposite. So if I have 3/8, guess what my reciprocal is? 8/3. Okay. Do you remember this a little bit from last year? Did you learn this? Okay. So let's talk about some of these down here, and let's find the reciprocals. If I have just 4, what's my reciprocal of just 4, Jacob? Why is it 1? I don't get it, Jasmine. Yep, and it turns into 1/4. Very good. Nice job. Okay. What's my reciprocal for this one? Henry, what is it? 11 over 6. What's my reciprocal for this one, Connor? 13 over 9. So far, so good? You're going to use this today when you multiply, or when you divide fractions. Okay, you're going to use this when you divide fractions. All right, so dividing a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. And I think some of you, tell me if I'm wrong, used butterfly math last year? Did you do the butterfly method? Okay. Yeah, I know. This is just something that they learned. So this is probably will be new to you guys, and I'm not going to teach it that way. Okay? So what's going to happen is when you see a division problem, it's kind of like keep, change, change. You're going to keep this one. You're going to change this to a multiplication sign, and you're going to change that to the reciprocal. So it's a lot like keep, change, change, and then this is what it looks like. Guess what? Then you just multiply. That's it. I think a lot of you did it this way last year. Is that what you did? Some of you, that's the butterfly method, isn't it? What did you do, Kaylee? Okay, so if you like keep, change, switch, call it that. You did this. The way that I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm sure you probably did. This is just something that, I don't know, Mr. Schneider taught. I don't know. So you probably did teach it or learn it the way that I'm teaching it. So, okay, so whoops, I forgot about that. That should be a division sign. So then I just multiply across. And if you can multiply, you can divide fractions. The only difference is you have to flip the reciprocal and you have to flip the sign. Okay? So then, if I figure this one out, 5/6 divided by 2/3, flip, it's 15 over 12. Could I have reduced beforehand? Yeah, I could have. But I end up with an improper fraction, and then I need to change it to a mixed number, just like I know what to do with, and then I'm done. That's all. The only thing, too, is you have to remember today is your negative signs again, because you're probably going to have a negative show up again. It's the same thing as multiplication. Okay, that's it. That's it. All right, so why does this work? Let's talk about why this works. Because, you know, I'm like a big believer. I want to know why things happen. And so I'm going to show you quickly. Is that all right? So 3 divided by 4. So I have 3 circles up here, or divided by 1/4, I'm sorry. I have 3 circles up here. That's my 3. And it says I'm going to divide them into 4s. So let's divide them all into 4s. Somebody knocked on my door. Again. Okay, so I'm going to divide into 4s. So here I go again. 4s. How many pieces do I have? How many pieces do I have? Guess what? Would be what? Pretty cool, huh? That's why it works. Yeah, Cadence. By the opposite. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. Sometimes. It's hard to think of it that way, though. It's hard to think of it that way. But yeah, so this is just one visual to show you how this works. So why don't you try a few of these by yourself? Try a few of these by yourself. The biggest thing some of you are going to forget is you're going to, number 1, you're going to forget to change to the reciprocal. And number 2, if it has a sign, you're going to forget the sign. Everybody done? Okay, one thing I need to remind you of quickly. I'm just going to look at this one. We'll come back to this one. When you reduce, it has to be done after you flip everything. You can't look at this one and say, okay, I'm going to reduce and then I'm going to flip. You can't do that. Your reducing has to be done after everything is flipped. Okay? I know I'll have some people do that beforehand. So why do I must have drew those in there. All right, so 1/9 times 7/6, correct? What did you get for an answer? Zane, what'd you get? 7/54. Can it be reduced? I don't think so. This should be 1/10 times 9/8. What did you get for an answer? Ready? What do you got, Ryan? 9/80. Can it be reduced? I don't think so. I don't think so. Questions so far? Okay, so even though we're going to go back to mixed numbers, when you have mixed numbers, you're going to change into an improper fractions. Then you can flip, and then you can multiply. Okay? So for something like, we'll do this together. First, I'm going to change into improper fraction. So this would be 5/2 divided by 1/10. Then I'm going to rewrite it to multiply. Does that make sense? Some people will try to do both steps at once. If you can, that's okay, but I like to write out my steps so I can see everything I'm doing so I don't forget something. Okay? I like to write everything out before I do any flipping because I like to see what I'm doing. And then you would multiply across. I think that comes to 50/2, and I think this answer would be 25, I believe. Tell me if I'm wrong. What's that? Yep, I can simplify, right? 1's 5. 5 times 5, whoop, 25. Why don't you go ahead and try this one on your notebook if you haven't already, okay? And I'll come around. If you have questions, please ask. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to change into improper fractions. Then you're going to flip. Then you're going to multiply. Yep, 3 and 3/4 divided by 4 and 1/2. I like my new division signs. They're kind of funny looking, aren't they? So 14, 12, 13, 15, 4 divided by 8, 9 over 2. 15 over 4 times 2 over 9. Is that right? Then you can do a lot of reducing here. You can reduce both ways. You can reduce by 2 this way. You can reduce by 3 that way. Get that 3. I bet some of you didn't see that one. Forget that. Oh. Is this what you got? Is that what you got? I'm loving how my smartboard is actually like legit working. I love it. It's not weird. Doing good. Some of you are finishing up here. Is it true? Did some of you do butterfly math last year? Yeah, I thought so, I think. You never did it. To me, that's confusing because then when do you use it? I would forget when to use it. Do I use this when I multiply or when I divide? Anybody have any questions on this so far? Review? It's pretty much review, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But you know what? Your Iowa assessments always have a lot of fractions on them. Always. 7th grade Iowa assessments always have a lot of fractions. So good thing we're doing it now, right? So we know. Good, Merrick? Okay. That's all I have for you today. Let us look at